My mother-in-law asked my husband to pay for her private content. What happened next almost destroyed our marriage. When I married Daniel, I thought I was getting a husband. I didn't realize I was also signing up for a front row seat to his mother's midlife exhibitionism. It started, like all great modern catastrophes, with a ping. We were halfway through spaghetti night, a sacred Wednesday ritual that Daniel insisted on maintaining since our third date. Simple, comforting, familiar, he used to say, twirling noodles like it was some kind of domestic ballet. I used to believe that. Now it just felt like a weekly performance, the sauce a little colder, the wine a little cheaper, the silences longer. His phone lit up. He glanced at it. Then he blinked, froze, and muttered, "What the?" He never finished the sentence. He just stared. Fork midair. Sauce dripping. "What is it?" I asked, pouring us each another glass. Red wine, a bold Syrah we couldn't quite afford anymore but pretended we could. For tradition. "It's my mom," he said, squinting at the screen like it was an optical illusion. She wants me to subscribe to her OnlyFans." I laughed. I laughed hard. I thought it was a joke, one of those weird text scams or some tasteless prank. Daniel didn't laugh. "Wait, you're serious?" I asked, the smile slipping. He turned the phone toward me. I didn't want to look. I already had too many images of his mother burned into my mental hard drive. Cheryl was a lot. Blonde Botox, eternally dressed like she was headed to audition for a Real Housewives reboot. She had the attention span of a kitten and the ego of a faded pageant queen who never got over losing Miss Southeastern whatever in 1989. I squinted at the message. "Hey honey, I just launched my OnlyFans. I think it could be huge. Can you subscribe and maybe tip a bit? Support your mama's new adventure, face blowing kiss mark." I stared. "Is this real?" "She's been talking about a new business for months," Daniel said, slowly putting his phone down like it might explode. I thought she meant, I don't know, selling crystals or something. Not this. I tried to say something. Anything. But all I managed was a strangled laugh that sounded more like a cough. "Are you actually considering it?" I finally asked. "No. I mean, God, no. But it's my mom. She's gonna follow up. She'll ask if I saw the link. She'll guilt trip me. She always does." I didn't know what to say. I mean, where was the rule book for this? Who prepares you for the moment your mother-in-law launches an adult content career and personally invites her son to be her first subscriber? The spaghetti sat there forgotten. A red, saucy symbol of a life that suddenly felt absurd. The next few days were surreal. Cheryl called twice. Left voicemails full of sugary optimism, as if she were launching a wellness blog and not a paywall platform for boudoir content. She gushed about her branding, her aesthetic, her target audience. She even asked if I could help her with the lighting in the bedroom because I have such a good eye. I avoided her calls. I avoided everything. Daniel, bless his deluded heart, tried to pretend it would all blow over. "She'll get bored," he said. "She always does. Remember the essential oils phase? The keto coaching? That brief flirtation with being a televangelist?" Yes. I remembered all of it. But this felt different. This was public. This was intimate. And then came the kicker. We were watching TV, something forgettable, some crime drama with a predictable plot, when Daniel casually said, "She asked again. Said she's trying to get to 10 subscribers by the end of the week for algorithm visibility. And she offered me a discount code." I paused the show. "She gave you a promo code to see her naked?" Daniel rubbed his face. "I told her I'd think about it just to shut her up." I stood up. I didn't say anything for a full 30 seconds. I just stared at him, this man I had loved for 7 years, this man I'd once considered the most grounded person I knew. "Thinking about it is already one step too far," I said, my voice low. "I'm not going to do it," he said quickly. "It's just she's my mom. She's nuts. You know that." "Yeah," I said. "But there's nuts and then there's this. This is crack beyond repair." He didn't argue. He just looked tired. Or maybe embarrassed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept imagining Cheryl in a feather boa and stilettos, posing for her iPhone, winking into the void. And worse, I imagined Daniel, hovering over that subscribe button, trying to calculate whether guilt outweighed horror. The next morning it happened. I checked our shared bank account. It was routine. Daniel had been freelancing since he left the agency, and we kept tabs on everything. I wasn't spying. Not really. There it was. OnlyFans, $9.99. I stared at the transaction until the numbers blurred. When he walked into the kitchen 10 minutes later, I didn't say anything. I just turned the screen toward him. His face dropped. "It was a mistake," he said. "I meant to. I was just checking the link." My finger slipped. "Your finger slipped," I repeated. "And entered your card information?" Clicked confirm. I was trying to see what she posted, so I could tell her it was inappropriate. I didn't look. I swear. I closed it right away. I wanted to believe him. But something broke. Something subtle but sharp, like a fine crack in porcelain that doesn't shatter until someone pours boiling water inside. I need air, I said, grabbing my coat. As I stepped outside, I thought, this isn't about nudity. It's not about OnlyFans. It's about a boundary being shattered. A weird, twisted intimacy that now existed between my husband and his mother. And between him and me. And between me and the creeping realization that maybe, just maybe, I had underestimated how far people would go to avoid confrontation. There's a moment in every marriage when you realize you're not building a life together anymore, you're patching holes in a sinking raft. For us, that moment arrived in the form of a $9.99 charge. The next few days passed in silence. Not angry silence. Worse, polite silence. The kind where you both pretend everything's fine because neither of you knows how to start the real conversation. Daniel made coffee. I made dinner. We exchanged weather reports and half-hearted smiles. But something had shifted. Not just between us, within me. I kept replaying the image of his face when I showed him the bank charge. It wasn't guilt. It was something murkier. Embarrassment, maybe? Or resignation. As if he knew this would catch up with him but didn't have the energy to avoid it. On Saturday morning, Cheryl called. Again. I didn't pick up. I let it go to voicemail, and when the little red bubble appeared, I tapped play just to torture myself. Hi, sweetheart. She chirped. Just checking in. Daniel still hasn't left a tip, but that's okay, I know he's shy. Anyway, I've been thinking maybe we could do a little photo shoot sometime? You've got such a great eye for angles. Think about it, okay? Kisses. I deleted the message before it finished. I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I poured myself a mimosa. It wasn't brunch. It was 9:17 a.m. I didn't care. By Monday, Daniel sensed the distance and tried to close it the only way he knew how: denial. I've been thinking, he said over takeout lo mein, we should go visit my mom. She's been asking. I nearly choked on a noodle. She's been asking? I thought she was too busy building her personal brand. She's trying, he said. She feels invisible. She's reaching out in the only way she knows. I stared at him. Daniel. She's not reaching out. She's monetizing attention. There's a difference. He opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. She's still my mom. Exactly. He didn't answer. He just stirred his food like he was hoping it held the solution to our unraveling. Cheryl lived in a beige condo complex that smelled faintly of lavender air freshener and overcooked microwave dinners. When we pulled into her driveway, she was already at the door, wearing leggings with rhinestones and a pink tank top that read, "Hotter than your ex, cuter than your next." I felt my soul detach slightly from my body. She hugged Daniel like a long-lost soldier, then turned to me, her eyes scanning my outfit. "You should really wear more color, darling. You've got such a pale palette." I smiled with all the warmth of a DMV clerk. Inside, her living room had been rearranged. Tripods, ring lights, a vanity mirror that didn't belong in any room outside of a Vegas dressing room. "This is my little creative space now," she beamed. "Isn't it fabulous?" Daniel nodded like a man defusing a bomb. I said nothing. Cheryl pranced over to a side table and picked up a stack of Polaroids. "I've been experimenting with vintage filters. Men love nostalgia." She handed one to Daniel. I snatched it from his hand before he could look. "Cheryl," I said evenly, "do you think this is appropriate?" She blinked. "Well, it's just style. Art. Like boudoir photography. People pay for intimacy these days." "No," I said, "they pay for boundaries to disappear." She pouted. "I thought you'd support me. You always said I should find something I'm passionate about." "I said that before you turned your home into a set and started dragging your son into it." Daniel sat down slowly, his hands folded like a little boy in the principal's office. Cheryl turned to him. "Danny, don't you think she's being dramatic?" "I think," he said, barely above a whisper, "that we shouldn't be here." I looked at him, startled. For the first time in weeks, he looked certain. Exhausted, but clear. Cheryl's face fell. For a split second, I saw something raw in her, not vanity, not defiance, but fear. The fear of being irrelevant. Forgotten. "Don't make me the bad guy," she said softly. "No one has to," I replied. "You already scripted the role." We left 10 minutes later. No yelling, no tears. Just the quiet collapse of something unspeakable. In the car, we didn't talk. The radio played a love song from the early 2000s, one of those saccharine ballads about forever. It felt like a joke. Halfway home, Daniel said, I didn't know how to say no to her. I looked out the window. "You still don't." "I think I'm afraid of her falling apart." "She already has," I said. "We're just pretending the pieces look like a person." That night, I didn't sleep again. Not because of the situation. Because of the realization that my husband didn't need a new mother, he needed to stop being her son. And I wasn't sure he could. There are betrayals you can name, categorize, even file away like yellowed receipts in the back of a drawer. And then there are betrayals that cling to the air, invisible, unspoken, but thick as dust in your lungs. It had been 3 weeks since the visit to Cheryl's lair of delusions. Daniel and I had resumed something resembling routine. Coffee, work, forced laughter over reruns. He apologized again, earnestly this time, not out of panic, but with the quiet shame of someone slowly understanding the cost of their cowardice. I thought we might recover. I wanted us to. I kept thinking, this is weird, yes, humiliating, yes, but it's not infidelity. Not really. Until I checked the bank statement again. Another $9.99. Different date. Different description. Not a mistake. Not a one-time click. A recurring charge. I stared at the screen so long the numbers began to look like coordinates. Like some secret map pointing to where my patients died. When he came home that evening, I didn't say hello. I didn't ask how his day was. I simply turned my laptop toward him and said, explain this. He didn't even look confused. That was the worst part. He just exhaled, slow and steady, like a balloon deflating. I meant to cancel, he said. Meant to? Yes. So this is still going on? He rubbed the back of his neck. It's not like I'm watching anything. She checks. She asks. It's easier this way. I laughed. Not kindly. Not bitterly. Just a short, absurd bark of disbelief. You're telling me, I said, that you've been paying your mother a monthly subscription fee because you're too spineless to disappoint her? She sends me updates, he muttered. Says things like, new post up. I figured if I unsubscribed, she'd notice and ask why. And then what? I lie? I tell her I'm broke? That I'm morally opposed? That I can't support her dreams? Yes, I said. Any of those would be better than what you're doing. He sat down hard. The kitchen chair creaked beneath him. I don't know how to manage her, he said quietly. I never have. You've seen it. You know what she's like. I do, I said. But what scares me isn't her. It's you. He looked up, startled. Me? Yes. Because you're not 13 anymore. You're not stuck in her house or under her thumb. But you act like you are. And I married a man. Not a hostage. He flinched at that. Good. I wanted him to. We didn't speak for the rest of the night. Or the next. I thought maybe he'd show some initiative. Cut the cord. Make a gesture. But instead, he retreated. Long walks. Sudden errands. Quiet scrolling in the corner of the living room. Then came the email. Not to me, to both of us. Cheryl's idea of brand expansion. She was starting a podcast. Intimate with Cheryl. The subject line read, Episode 1, The Power of Being Seen, featuring my beautiful son. I felt my stomach flip. I clicked. It was real. There he was, my Daniel, sitting across from her, smiling nervously into a mic, talking about embracing vulnerability and supporting loved ones in unconventional ventures. My mouth went dry. I didn't finish listening. I didn't need to. I saw enough. When he came home that night, I didn't confront him. I packed a bag. Just one. Just enough. He found me at the door, keys in hand, coat on, breath hitching like he knew something had snapped. Where are you going? He asked, voice trembling. Somewhere quiet, I said. Somewhere that doesn't require me to be part of a marketing plan. He looked like he wanted to argue. But he didn't. He just stepped aside. I stopped on the porch. Daniel, I said, without turning, I know you love her. I do. But love doesn't mean submission. And support doesn't mean sacrificing your dignity or mine. He didn't respond. The door closed behind me with a soft click. I checked into a rental with bad wallpaper and a view of a strip mall. It wasn't glamorous. But it was mine. It was quiet. And no one there was trying to turn family into content. The next morning, my phone buzzed. A new email. From Cheryl. Subject. Just wanted to check in. Daniel's feeling low. Maybe we could all talk. No. No, we couldn't. I deleted the message without opening it. They say time heals. I say time just hardens the scab until someone picks it again. 2 weeks passed in that sterile rental. 2 weeks of cold coffee, cheap takeout, and the uneasy silence of being right but not happy. I watched sitcom reruns with the volume low, muted commercials selling pills for ailments I didn't yet have but felt spiritually connected to. Occasionally I checked our joint account. The $9.99 charge was finally gone. Small victory. Pyrrhic. Daniel called once. Left a message. His voice was tired, careful. I get it, he said. I wish I didn't, but I do. If you ever want to talk, I'll be here. I didn't return the call. Not yet. Then one afternoon, the storm found me. I was scrolling through my email, numb and absent, when a message popped up from an old college friend. Jess, loud, loyal, always first to spot gossip online. Subject, you seeing this? She'd attached a screenshot. My name. A blurry image of me, arms crossed, face half turned, taken candidly from that visit to Cheryl's condo. The caption read, Supportive daughter-in-law? Or silent saboteur? Episode 3, Family Friction, Intimate with Cheryl. She'd uploaded the footage. Use me. I clicked the link. There I was, frozen on screen, edited into some melodramatic montage with piano music in the background. Cheryl's voiceover droned, "Not everyone in your circle will clap for your rebirth. Some women feel threatened when others rise." I stopped the video. I didn't have the stomach. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, staring at the digital smear of my image, wondering when my boundaries became content, my marriage a subplot. Then I opened a new browser tab. Searched, "Intimate with Cheryl YouTube." There it was. 15 episodes. Thousands of views. The thumbnails ranged from sultry close-ups to inspirational quotes in curling pink font. Episode 4 was titled "Reclaiming Power, The Art of the Soft No." Episode 7 featured Daniel again, this time cooking with her. The comments were worse than the videos. "Her son is a total sweetheart. Love how open-minded her family is. That daughter-in-law gives off Ice Queen vibes." I slammed the laptop shut. I showed up at Cheryl's unannounced. I didn't knock. I walked in like I belonged there because for years I'd tried to. I'd brought pies to holidays. I'd fixed her printer. I'd hosted her birthday brunch when Daniel forgot. She was on the couch, wearing a silk robe and glittery slippers, editing a video on her tablet. "Well, this is a surprise," she said, not looking up. "You used me," I said flat. "I featured you," she corrected. "You're part of the story. I didn't consent to being in your circus." She sighed. "You don't understand the algorithm, sweetheart. Realness sells. Your realness is a curated delusion. You've made your dysfunction a brand and you're dragging Daniel down with you." She finally looked up. "Don't talk about my son like that." "I'm not. I'm talking about your hostage." A beat passed. She stood, slowly, like someone preparing for a duel. "He's a grown man." "No," I said. "He's a trained dog. Rewarded for loyalty, punished for thinking. And I'm done watching you throw him bones made of guilt." Something flickered behind her eyes. Not rage. Not shame. Just calculation. "You're not the woman I thought you were," she said softly. "I never was," I replied. "You just cast me in a role I never auditioned for." That night, Daniel showed up at the rental. I don't know how he knew I'd gone to her. Maybe she called. Maybe he just felt the shift in the air. He looked tired. Not just physically. Spiritually. "You went to see her," he said. "Yes. She told me." I'm sure she gave an Oscar-worthy recap. He didn't smile. He sat on the edge of the bed like it hurt to stand. I unsubscribed. From everything. I noticed. I told her I'm out. No more appearances. No more silent approval. And she cried. Said I was abandoning her. Said I'd been brainwashed. I nodded. That sounds like her. I told her the truth. That I love her but I can't be her audience anymore. That it's not love if it requires sacrificing someone else's peace. He looked up. And I told her if she makes another episode with your name or face in it, I'll sue. That surprised me. Not because of the threat. Cheryl was the type to fold at the word lawyer, but because I believed him. You should have told her that months ago, I said quietly. I know. We sat in silence for a long time. Not uncomfortable. Just true. I don't know if I can come home yet, I said finally. He nodded. I'll wait. Or not. Whatever you decide, I get it. I believe that too. That night, I reopened my laptop. Found Cheryl's channel. Clicked report. Then blocked. Then opened a blank document and started writing again, something I hadn't done in months. It was a story about boundaries. About inheritance. Not of money but of damage. About the quiet, necessary art of choosing to walk away before you vanish inside someone else's spotlight. I always thought endings were dramatic. Slammed doors, shouted ultimatums, crying in the rain. Turns out some endings are just silent. Like a light turning off in a room you didn't realize you'd already left. It had been 6 weeks. I stayed in the rental longer than I meant to. Not because I was avoiding Daniel, though yes, part of me was, but because I needed to remember who I was outside of wife and daughter-in-law, and all the other suffocating labels I'd let accumulate like dust. Daniel called, but less often. He seemed to sense that what I needed most was not apologies but space. And that, ironically, made me start to miss him. Not the man who froze under pressure, but the one I married, earnest, quiet, warm. I started seeing glimpses of him again in the texts he sent. Small, careful check-ins that never asked for anything. Just offerings of presents. Then one morning I opened an envelope slid under my door. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. Inside, a printed photo. Me and Daniel at our wedding, laughing at something no one else remembered. Behind us, Cheryl blurred in the background. Her eyes weren't on us, they were on the camera. Beneath the photo was a note. Just 5 words written in block letters. I won't feature you again. No signature. But it didn't need one. I sat with it for a long time. Not because I believed it was an apology, it wasn't. It was a ceasefire. A begrudging acknowledgement of the line I'd drawn and her reluctant agreement not to cross it. Not peace, but pause. I put the photo in a drawer. Not to cherish it, to remind myself of the cost. I came home a week later. Daniel didn't ask why. He didn't ask if I was back for good. He just made coffee the way he used to. He didn't try to talk until I did. And when I finally spoke, it wasn't a speech. It wasn't a confrontation. It was a question. Do you want to be a husband? Or a son? He looked up. Can I be both? You can, I said. But you can't serve both. He nodded. Then I choose us. Cheryl still posts. Of course she does. Her podcast didn't exactly take off. A few episodes were taken down after copyright strikes. Apparently the background piano wasn't royalty-free after all. But she's pivoted to empowerment coaching now. Whatever that means. Her captions are full of hashtags about rebirth and phoenixes. She's got a small but loyal following of women who call her brave. I don't comment. I don't watch. I don't even check. Sometimes Daniel gets texts from her. He reads them, sometimes even answers. But the dynamic has shifted. She no longer sends promo codes or sneak peeks. Just updates. The kind a mother might send if she remembered that her child is not her platform. We're rebuilding, Daniel and I. Slowly. Carefully. The trust once cracked doesn't go back to the way it was. It's more like stained glass now, fragile but honest. Each shard a memory of what we almost lost. He still flinches when I bring up Cheryl. Still apologizes without prompting. I don't need him to be perfect. I just need him to stay on this side of the line. I never answered Cheryl's note. Not because I had nothing to say, but because the silence was the loudest message I could send. I'm not part of your content. I'm not your story arc. I'm not your redemption subplot. I am not, and never was, here to applaud you. Some performances don't deserve an audience. Thanks for sticking around and listening to my story. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss more true life stories just like this one.